Hey guys, Cloudy Hayes back for another video. I have created a guide that will help you prepare yourself and your characters for launch day. The war within is right around the corner with less than 2 weeks remaining. With that said, this is a great time to get prepared and get everything ready to go. The pre-patch came out a few weeks ago, and along with it came a lot of changes to all the specs and classes. One of the first things you want to decide is what character you plan to main. Once you've decided on your main, make sure to play around with your character a little bit. Run some Mythic Plus, or queue up to a raid just to make sure you're comfortable with your build and get a feel for it, especially if you're coming back after a long break. These changes will be going into the war within, so you better get used to them. Wowhead has all the updated pre-patch guides for all the classes so you can easily find a build that works for you. You can easily copy and paste talent loadouts from the website directly into your game to make things easier. For leveling, I recommend running an AoE build, basically what you would use for running Mythic Plus, but you can also add some variables into the mix. Take a close look at your talents and try to create a nice leveling build, perhaps with some added movement speed. Movement speed is really good for leveling. If you're leveling up as a healer, you may want to look into a build that focuses on DPS and/or survivability. Your build can vary depending on if you plan to level solo or in a group. Some people will level up by queuing to dungeons all the way to level 80, which can be decent if you're a healer or a tank. Otherwise, queue times could be long. But ultimately, dungeon spamming will be slower than questing, even as a tank or a healer. So depending on how you plan to level up, you can decide how you want to set up your talents. Plan ahead and be ready to go. You should take a look at all of your keybinds. For people who play many different characters, it's good practice to set up your keybinds the same way for every character. For example, you would want your interrupts and your main movement speed skills to be the same button on all your characters. This makes it much easier for muscle memory. Setting up profiles can be useful for keeping things neat. You also want to take a look at your UI setup. Make sure your UI is how you want it and you're happy with the way it looks. Open up the edit mode and double check everything. One tip is to move your breathe bar to be closer to your character. There are a few different situations in the war within where you are underwater and need to closely watch your breath so you don't drown. Little things like this will help you out along the way. This is also a great time to go through all of your add-ons and make sure they are up to date. Get rid of add-ons you haven't used in a long time to make room for new ones. With a new expansion often comes the need for new add-ons. There are many different add-ons that will help you while leveling and that are overall great in the beginning of a new expansion. In the description below, I will post a handful of great add-ons for the War Within and that might help you while leveling. Be sure to check those out if you're interested. You will also need to clear out all of your weak ores and load in the new ones when the War Within launches. Having old weak ores that you won't use just takes up memory and makes your load time slower. You can go ahead and get your new weak ores now, but you're just going to have to update them anyways on launch day. And also there's going to be tons of new ones coming out as well, so it's best to wait. I normally just wait for launch day to load my new weak ores, but what I will do in advance is scout out what weak ores I want for the War Within, and then on launch day I can quickly load my weak ores in just a couple of minutes. Next up on the preparation list, organize your bags. Go through and get rid of just about everything you don't need. Don't hold on to that extra set of gear you think you might use. Trust me, you won't. You will need all the room you can get when you start leveling. Do the same with your bank as well. I'm sure you have a few random items you've been holding on to since Legion, and that's okay, but make sure at bare minimum your bags are completely empty and ready to go. Something else you probably will want to do is get rid of any materials you have before the expansion hits. Sooner the better, as the prices are dropping every day as we get closer to the launch. The value of most dragonflight materials and reagents will drastically drop, so dump them now while they are still worth something. I'm sure there are specific dragonflight materials that could potentially go up in price when the War Within is live, but for the most part you want to dump just about all of your materials ASAP. Having your bags, bank, and warband bank clean and organized will make for a much smoother experience during the first week of the expansion. Since we're on the topic of cleaning bags, let's talk about a few things we could actually use and keep in our bags to help us with our leveling journey. Depending on what kind of player you are, or if you'd like to have an extra edge while leveling, there are a few items you can pick up to make things smoother. The first week during the War Within, potions and consumables will be pretty expensive, so unless you're an alchemist, you should grab a handful of dragonflight consumables such as potions and phials. Stock yourself up with some health potions that may help you get through a hard pack or just prevent you from dying in a sketchy situation you may encounter during leveling. As it goes for flasks or phials as they call them now, I recommend going with speed phials. Charged Phial of Alcrity increases your speed by 744, which can give you roughly 8 to 9% increase increased speed overall. Having additional movement speed while leveling will make your life that much easier. You could go with crit reverse files for extra damage if you choose, but if you're going into the expansion with some gear, you won't need the extra damage. Everything practically dies in one hit for the first few levels anyways. I also recommend swapping out a few of your enchants as well to get some extra speed. Cloak, bracers, and boots. You can gain roughly an extra 8 to 12% speed with these 3 enchants, plus 200 speed to bracers, homebound speed for cloak, and plains runner for boots will give you extra speed going into leveling. Between enchants and files, you're looking at 20% increased speed overall. For healers, you could go with leech if you plan to play solo while leveling. Additionally, to consumables and enchants, there are a handful of other useful items you can pick up to help you with your leveling journey. First and foremost, one of my favorite items to stock up on for an expansion release are gun shoes. Gun shoes give you a 200% boost of speed for 25 seconds and can be very useful for situations where you cannot mount. For example, if you're in a deep cave and it normally would take you a few minutes to walk out, but now you can use gun shoes and get out of there in half the time. Gun shoes are great and I use them all the time. Also, they are only on a 3-minute cooldown so you can use them frequently. You could also grab yourself some goblin gliders which might come in handy in a few places. There are a lot of big hills, cliffs, and rough terrain in Kaz Algar, where the gliders could come in handy. Yes, you will have your skywriting mounts, but there are times where you will run out of vigor and wish you had a goblin glider to soar across a valley to turn a quest in. Next thing you guys want to do is completely clear your quest log of all old quests. The worst thing you can do is start questing in a new expansion with a full quest log of old quests. Organizing your quest log and making room for new quests will save you a lot of hassle when the expansion goes live. Something you can do if you're interested is stockpile completed quests. Go around now and do all the dailies or any quests that you haven't completed, complete them but don't turn them in. This way you have a full quest log of completed quests ready to turn in. When the war then goes live, you can run around dragonflight for the first 30 minutes of launch turning in quests that you already completed and get a fast boost of experience. You will also avoid the chaos of tens of thousands of people trying to complete the first 2 quests all at the same time. After 30 minutes of launch, it will still be hectic at the starting area, but not as bad as just logging in. This is a great way to get ahead with some experience. If you decide you want to do this, just make sure your quest log is empty after you finish turning in all of your completed quests. If this isn't something you're interested in, then just simply clear out your quest log the day before the expansion goes live. Going into a new expansion with decent gear will make things much faster and easier. Right now is the time to try to get all of your characters and alts as geared as possible. More gear the better. You want to be at least 480 plus item level going into the expansion, but if you can get over 500 plus, you will see a huge difference in how fast you kill things. My paladin was 527 item level on the beta when I started to level, and I was one-shotting everything all the way from level 70 to 73. If you're just coming back after a long break, a great way to get some gear is by participating in the pre-patch event called Radiant Echoes. Just simply complete the events and dailies they offer, and you can quickly get your hands on some 480 plus item level gear. You can easily grind out a complete set in a few hours, no problem. You can also farm for bullions. Bullions drop from all raid content including LFR. If you haven't received any bullions this season, then you're eligible for quite a few of them. Since all the dragonflight raids are now awakened, you can queue up to all the LFRs to get your hands on some bullions. You should be able to get enough bullions to buy multiple items from the gear vendors in just a short time. The higher the raid difficulty you run, the higher chance of bullions dropping, so keep that in mind also. If you clear a few wings of LFR, most likely you will get enough bullions to buy a few pieces of gear. The bullion gear vendors are located in the Bronze Enclave in Valdrakken and offer gear starting at 493 and can be upgraded all the way to 528 item level. You can buy rings, trinkets, and weapons from all 3 dragonflight raids at these vendors. So guys, take this time to get your characters geared up to make your leveling journey that much easier. I also wanted to note that it's not 100% needed to gear up. You can easily go into the expansion with an item level of 410 plus no issue. Mobs will die slower, but not to worry because you can gear up as you level. When you first start leveling, the quests and mobs will drop gear around 408 to 415 item level, but it quickly scales up as you level up. 460 item level gear will start dropping at level 73. You will also start finding BOE green items that drop from the mobs that will be even higher in item level as well. They might not be your armor type, so you can either sell them or put them on if it's an upgrade. Overall, having gear going into an expansion is just a luxury and not a requirement, so don't feel too stressed out if you don't have time to gear up. As I said, you will gear up as you level. If you're interested in making gold in the War Within, this is a good time to start planning out your strategies. Figure out what you want to do to make gold, whether that's professions, gathering, or other gold making methods. But ultimately, professions are one of the best ways to make millions of gold early on in a new expansion. You do want to know which professions you plan to do ahead of time so you can mentally and physically prepare for it. One of the best professions for leveling will be tailoring. The reason for that is simply the fact that you get materials from mobs while leveling that you normally wouldn't get if you're not a tailor. Crafting materials will go for an insane amount on the auction house during the first couple days of launch, so it's best to find your own materials so you can level up your professions. If you're not a tailor, cloth will drop very rarely. I leveled from 70 to 80 as a non-tailor during the beta and only came across a total of 3 of the new cloth for the entire 70 to 80 journey. But if you pick up tailoring as your profession, you will be able to get tons of cloth from humanoids. So this is a great way to make some quick gold while leveling, or to simply level up your own profession. Tailoring also has a few recipes that you learn fairly early on that will be cheap to craft and you can make tons of gold with. At tailoring level 30, you can craft cloth 521 item level BOE blue items that you can sell for gold on the auction house right off the rip. A lot of people will be going into this expansion with little to no gear, and they will be checking the auction house for gear upgrades. I'm sure they will sell for a lot of gold. As to how much, we will have to wait and see, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them sell for anywhere from 10k all the way up to 50k or more per item. As a tailor, you will also be able to craft BOE profession accessories for almost all professions as well. You will learn these recipes pretty early on. People will be buying these items like crazy to boost their own professions. Off the get-go, tailoring is a great profession to make some gold while leveling. From selling BOE items, making work orders, looting materials, and endgame crafting, tailoring is a great option. You're going to want to max out tailoring or whatever profession you decide to take on as fast as you can. The sooner you max out, the faster you can start earning huge gold. Overall, guys, just make sure you know which professions you're going to run with and plan to level them up as fast as possible. With the new expansion right around the corner, right now is your last chance to finish up any last minute achievements and get your hands on some last minute rewards from Season 4. Most of Season 4 rewards, titles, and mounts, etc. will be going away when the War Within launches, so if there's anything you wanted to get done, now is the time. One of the most notable things that will be going away permanently, or at least for a long time, is the Slime Cat mount from Season 4 of Shadowlands, Mr. Jigglesworth Sr. You can purchase this mount at the bullion vendors in Valdrakken. It does cost 3 bullions, but you can purchase this on any character. I'm sure a lot of you guys have extra bullions laying around, so make sure to spend them. If you do have spare bullions laying around, don't forget you can also buy transmog items from the bullion vendors as well. This is also the last stretch to unlock those dungeon portals from completing Mythic Plus dungeons at a plus 10 or higher. Having those portals can come in handy when trying to get around the map. I do have one final tip to help you guys out. What you want to do is hop into your car and head to the grocery store. Now, head to the frozen aisle and stock up on as many Hot Pockets as you can. It's time to get ready to no-life it for a few weeks. I really do hope this guide helps you prepare for the War Within and hopefully makes your leveling experience a bit easier. You guys can expect tons of content coming out over the next few weeks as well. I'm currently working on a War Within gold making guide, an in-depth leveling guide, and a full gearing guide updated for the War Within. With that said, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming content. And don't forget to hit the like button if you watched this far as well. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. See you in the War Within, guys. Cloudy Haze out.
Everyone equip healing potions to the hotbar if you haven't already. Kyle, go ahead and cast Arcane Brilliance to raise our intelligence.
Hang on, I'm chaining my fire spells for max range.
Nice. Dan, what enchantment does your Cloak of the Tiger have?
Plus 15 agility.
Give the cloak to Kenny, he needs the agility boost for bow attacks.
Okay. Hold on, this fight could last more than 12 hours. What if we run out of food?
Don't worry, I have that covered. Ma'am?
Yes,
More Hot Pockets!
right away, hun.
That's uber cool.
Alright, everyone ready?
Ready?
Ready! Let's go get him!
The sky is falling.